Spoilers for The Promised Neverland up to episode 9 incoming in 3, 2, 1. The Promised Neverland gripped me right from the start, as I'm sure it did many of you, adding an unexpected twist I've not seen the like of since Gakko-Gurashi. So the question is it ever okay to eat kids? And the answer is no, it's never okay, don't eat kids. But it can be an interesting discussion point to see how it mirrors our reality, and with the non-identity problem, this can cause us to question what makes life itself worthwhile. I've enjoyed the show up till now, but it didn't click for me until episode 8 with this line from Mum. I'm sure we'll find out exactly how much she means that as the episodes go on, but as Ray says in episode 9, Emma and Norman and all the rest are high quality produce. Even if only as a byproduct of the end result, they do genuinely want to give the children up to 12 years of an enjoyable life to produce the best meat possible. The demons don't seem to care about the happiness in itself though, only the results. Mum's not 100% clear, I'm sure we'll find out, but hearing this, I immediately drew parallels to the non-identity problem and was shocked I hadn't made the link sooner. So, put as simply as possible, while still missing a lot, the non-identity problem stipulates that if the exact circumstances of your birth shift even slightly, you don't get to exist. This is all there is, but even less so. This void, you can't even consider that this void exists. It's hard to imagine what this is like. Take a theoretical pig farmer on Earth. They can decide to let their pigs breed in order to farm their children for their meat, or not. And let's even say they'll go above and beyond and ensure these pigs have the best life possible until their date is up. Even so, for this potential piglet, there isn't a world where they get to roll around in the mud and do whatever pigs enjoy until they die out of old age. Their chance at life is either as the pig destined to be eaten, or to not exist at all. There is no middle ground here. You don't just get to run free. That's your choices. And the same goes for all the children at Gracefield. They are either born to live on the farm until their death, or they don't get to exist. There isn't an Emma that gets to exist being born outside the farm. If it wasn't for these exact circumstances, she wouldn't exist. It's be food, or don't be in the first place. This does rely on them being born exclusively to be eaten, and not kidnapped at birth or something. If I may show one panel from the manga they didn't adapt for episode 9, look away now if not, 3, 2, 1. The layout here does seem to imply that this is the case, so we're not sure, but this is all going to be on the assumption that they are in fact bred just to be food. This begs the question. Given there is no alternative, and Emma gets to enjoy a life at the farm, might this be a worthwhile existence? She gets to learn, to play, to make friends. It's quite clear the first 11 or so years of her life are fantastic, and that she wouldn't give them up for the world. But the only way she gets to experience this world is to be born to be eaten. And had she not found that doll, nor had Ray intervened later, she might have died happily, meeting her death in a split second without knowing true sadness. A life without sadness is more than most of us can claim to enjoy. Of course, all of this changes as the first episode draws to a close for Emma and Norman, while Ray is an obvious outlier I'm not going to get into, because that's a whole other thing. Once they find out the circumstances of their existence, every single one of these facial expressions takes an intense dread upon themselves that outweighs everything that came before. Once we reach this point, the most important premise to the non-identity problem, in my view, falls apart. That of Emma gets to enjoy a life at the farm. The problem hinges heavily in many ways on what we can draw from life. In another situation, such as factory farm chickens bred just to be killed, they clearly can't enjoy life, so there's no good created from any of this. At least Emma gets a good 11 years before meeting her fate. Although you could still argue this happiness is irrelevant, and a life that is so utterly without the ability to make your own choices and to make decisions, and that has a set end date, is not worth living even if the time between is enjoyable. Yet this is how we live in reality. In many ways, we are the monsters in the dark, butchering animals by the millions, and those in Emma's case are the lucky ones. We assume that those animals we call free range have some value to their lives before we eat them, as to assume otherwise would assume that animal life has no value, which most people wouldn't agree with. But as humans ourselves, we can confirm the value of our own lives. We know that we can be happy, we can find our meaning, and we can see why Emma's life matters. She's lived her 11 years and she's valued it a lot. So is it better for her to get to live on the farm? And remember, her options are to have this life on the farm or to not exist. Not existing is so hard to comprehend in many ways. Is it better for her to live on the farm or to not exist? It's a difficult question. Let's say I'm a demon. We could decide once Emma's born, okay, it's immoral to kill her and eat her. Let's let her go and live a normal free life. But then next week we're going to have to ask the same question again. Do we continue breeding these humans that we're just going to eat? Or would we rather create nothing in their place? Is that life? Is that 6 to 11 years they're going to have worthwhile? Now, of course, the demons don't actually care about this. Their intent is all for the end result. But taking it back from a moral perspective, is creating happy lives better than those lives not existing in the first place? If nothing else, I find it an incredibly thought-provoking lens through which to view several aspects of the real world. Myself, despite the good life Emma gets to live, I can't see it justifying the end result. Even if the alternative is Emma doesn't get to exist, it doesn't justify killing her in the end and eating her corpse. The end result is just too horrifying, despite the good years between she wouldn't have otherwise. However, when we shift things a little, it can become even more in the grey. Say the demons didn't care for their meat, but that human hair has qualities nowhere else does. Same premise, except the farm is lifelong and they get to live an enjoyable life where they are forcibly shaved, although they might not know that this is by force, depending on how they spin it, and this happens every month just to get their hair. We can kind of see ourselves doing the same if we were to keep chickens alive in perfect conditions and just take their eggs, except in this case we could actually communicate with the children rather than just stealing the eggs. Again, the choice is to be bred to live a happy life and be farmed for some greater purpose, or to not exist. And this is still a situation that if Emma found out about, she might want to escape from with her friends. Could this be a more worthwhile existence, where actually killing is the thing that makes this wrong? Or is it still going to be that you're not really in control, so this isn't worth living? Could it be... I don't know. I don't think I'll ever know. This is why this question plays on my mind so much. It seems intrinsically wrong, but it's propped up against non-existence. I'd love to hear what you think, by the way, in the comments below. Do you think Emma and Norman getting to exist could justify the end result for just meat? How about if it's just for their hair? How about something else? And this isn't a fake let me know. I'm going to read every single comment because this is one of the most fascinating things in life to me. This made me reshape how I think of things. The concept of the alternative being non-existence. So thanks for watching my video. There were 100 different angles on this and I've only touched on a few, and I've focused on a utilitarian approach because I see happiness as having a value in itself, even if in this case it doesn't justify the end result. And of course I expect the next episode will disprove everything I've said here in some fancy way. But thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to like this video or any of that nonsense, you'd be doing it anyway. You don't need me to remind you. Yeah, thank you very much for watching.